Hey, it's that card girl, and today we're going to be taking a look at the One Piece card games ST20, a yellow starter deck featuring Charlotte Katakuri as the leader. My helper Hans really likes Katakuri and this deck. Leave a comment and let me know who your favorite One Piece character is. Okay, the rest of the box, Hans? Yes, there's another picture of Katakuri. Keep on track here. Like always, it tells you on the back of the box how many of what rarity cards you're getting in the deck. Now, let's get that box open up and free Katakuri. Just like the other starters we've covered, inside the box is our deck and a PRB01 pack. This is the last starter we're going to cover that has a premium booster pack in it. We're going to be going over starter deck 21 on Monday, but it comes with a different pack in it. Make sure to check out the short that's coming out before then on Sunday though. As Hans is showing you, we've got our Charlotte Katakuri leader on top of our 60 card deck with 10 Dawn hiding underneath it. Let's get that pack out of here for now and get this deck unwrapped so we can see what we're working with. Alright, I hope you like the name Charlotte because I'm about to be saying it a lot. Our deck has the 5 life, 5,000 power leader Charlotte Katakuri, 2 copies of the 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter character card Charlotte Katakuri, 2 copies of the 6 cost, 7,000 power Charlotte Linlin, 4 copies of the 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter Charlotte Cracker, 4 copies of the 3 cost, 3k power, 2k counter Charlotte Brûlée, 2 copies of the 3 cost, 2k power, 1k counter Charlotte Pudding, 4 copies of Charlotte Opera, who is 4 cost, 6,000 power, and a 1,000 counter, 4 copies of Charlotte Galay, who's 2 cost, 2k power, and a 1k counter, 4 copies of 4 cost, 5k power, 1k counter Charlotte Smoothie, 4 copies of the 1 cost, 2k power, 1k counter Charlotte Pudding, 4 copies of Strusen, who's 1 cost, 1k power, and a 2k counter, and not Charlotte, 4 copies of Charlotte Daifuku, a 4 cost, 5,000 power with a 1k counter, 4 copies of the 3 cost, 5k power, 1k counter Picos, 4 copies of the 2 cost event Ikoku Sovereignty, 4 copies of the 2 cost event Thunderbolt, and of course our 10 Dawn. Now, let's take a longer look at these cards and see what they do. Starting with our leader, Charlotte Katakuri. If you attach 1 Dawn to this card, when attacking, you get to look at up to 1 card from the top of your life cards or your opponent's life cards and then place it at the top or bottom of the life cards. Then your leader gains plus 1,000 power during the battle. So if you choose to add a Dawn to your leader card, you're getting it up to 7k power instead of just 6. Now, if you don't have any life cards left and your opponent doesn't have any life cards left, you still get the extra 1k to your power since it says to look at up to 1. The 1 cost Charlotte Pudding has an on-play effect that lets you look at 4 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Sanji character or Big Mom Pirates type character other than Charlotte Pudding, and add it to your hand. You then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. An awesome cheap searcher. Charlotte Opera and Picons are both base cards with no effect. Charlotte Galay is a blocker, and Charlotte Daifuku lets you attach 1 Dawn, and then when attacking you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand. Then once you've done that, you can add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. So if you've used your leader's effect and know you'd rather have that card in your hand than your life, you can use Daifuku to get it there and put whatever the next card you would have drawn on your life cards in its place. Now let's talk about some of the cards that have triggers when you draw them from your life cards. Charlotte Brûlée has no effect if you play her from your hand, but her trigger lets you look at up to 1 card from the top of you or your opponent's life cards and then place it at the top or bottom of the life cards. Then add this card to your hand. Normally when you use the trigger from a card you draw out of your life, you discard the card afterwards. This trigger lets you put it in your hand instead after getting the effect. The 3-cost Charlotte Puddings trigger lets you rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. The on-play effect lets you add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand and then set up to one of your Big Mom Pirates type characters with a cost of 3 or less as active. Charlotte Cracker's trigger lets you trash 1 card from your hand and then play this card. Once per turn, if this character would be KO'd by an effect, you can trash 1 card from the top of your life cards instead. Charlotte Smoothie has an effect when you're attacking where you can add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand, and then this character will gain plus 2k power during the battle. So if you don't have a Dawn card attached, your power will be up to 7,000. There's also the trigger where you can trash 1 card from your hand and then play this card. On to our 2 event cards. We've got Thunderbolt that during your main phase has you trash 1 card from the top of your life cards to be able to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. The trigger also lets you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I'd say without having to trash 1 card from the top of your life cards, but you kinda still are since this was the top card of your life cards if you're getting its trigger. Ikoku Sovereignty is a counter event that gives your leader or one of your characters plus 5k power for the battle. Its trigger has you trash 2 cards from your hand and then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. So you're getting rid of 2 cards from your hand, but your life is staying the same as it was before you drew this card. Strucin has an on-play effect where you trash 1 card with a trigger from your hand, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Charlotte Linlin has an on-play effect where you trash 1 card from your hand, and then your opponent chooses to either trash 2 cards from their hand or trash 1 card from the top of their life cards. The Charlotte Katakuri character card is a blocker that also has a main phase effect you can activate once per turn that has you turn the top card from your life face up, and then you get to give 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or 1 character. So everyone will know what your next life card you draw is, but you get to move an already used Dawn to increase someone's power and even possibly activate an effect that takes a Dawn. Now, that's all of the cards that come included in the deck, so let's talk upgrade cards. Starting with another Katakuri and Linlin. This Katakuri is a 4-cost with 6,000 power from starter deck 7. On play, you look at up to 1 card from the top of your life cards or your opponent's life cards and place it on the top or bottom of the life cards. Then, if you have less life cards than your opponent, this character gains Rush during this turn, allowing it to attack the turn it was played instead of having to wait until your next turn. This Charlotte Linlin is also from starter deck 7 and has 8k power and a cost of 7. On play, your opponent either trashes 1 card from the top of their life cards or adds 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. Now, keep in mind, if your opponent has no life cards, they can still choose the option to trash one of their life cards, and nothing happens. It does not force them to add a card to your life. You're the One Who Should Disappear is a no-cost event card from OP06. It's a counter card that has you trash 1 card from your hand, and then one of your leader or character cards gains 3,000 power during this battle. A nice buff to help you make it through the battle. Its trigger is if you have 0 life cards, you may add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, then trash 1 card from your hand. So if you use one of your card's effects to look at your life cards and see this one, you're going to want to put it back at the bottom of your life cards so you can get its effect to add a card when you pull it from your life. 200 Million Volts Amaru is a 2-cost event card out of OP05. Its main effect gives up to one of your leader or character cards plus 3k power for that turn. Then, if you have 1 or less life cards, you rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. So you're buffing a character and then making it where you can attack a character that you couldn't have before. Its trigger, if you pull it from your life cards, has you trash 2 cards from your hand and then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. So for 2 cards out of your hand, you're basically negating that loss of life. Charlotte Ferris Pharaoh is from OP03 and has a cost of 3 and 5k power. On KO, you look at the top 3 cards from your deck, reveal up to 1 Big Mom Pirates type card, and add it to your hand, placing the other 2 cards at the bottom of your deck. The trigger has you trash 1 card from your hand and play this card. This Charlotte Katakuri card is also from OP03 with a cost of 8 and 8k power. When you play this card, you add up to one character with a cost of 8 or less to the top or bottom of the owner's life cards face up. We have another Charlotte Linlin, this time with a cost of 10 and 12,000 power. She comes out of OP03. On play, if your leader has the Big Mom Pirate type, which Charlotte Katakuri does, you add one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, and then trash up to one card from the top of your opponent's life card. Big Mom here is a big plate that can quickly turn a game in your favor. Charlotte Cracker is also from OP03 and is 4 cost with 5k power and a 1000 counter. If you attach one Dawn to this card and you have less life cards than your opponent, this character gains both double attack and 1000 power. So with the attached Dawn and the added 1k power from the effect, this is a 7k card with double attack. This card's trigger has you trash one card from your hand and play this card. Now let's talk about some cards that are off type but still great to play with this deck. Frankie comes from OP07 and is 4 cost with 5000 power and a 2000 counter. There's no base effect, but if you pull him from your life cards, the trigger has you draw one card, and then if you have one or less life cards, play this card. Capone Gang Veg is from OP04. He's 3 cost, 3k power, and another 2000 counter card. No base effect again, but his trigger makes it to where up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards cannot attack during this turn. Kiku no Jo is from OP06. She's 4 cost and 6000 power. On KO, if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you add up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. The trigger allows you to play this card if your opponent has 3 or less life cards. Egghead Nami out of OP08 is 5 cost, 5k power, and has a 1k counter. On play, you can trash a card with a trigger from your hand and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Then, if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you draw a card. This is also the effect the trigger gives you when you draw from your life cards. Egghead Monkey d.Luffy is from OP07, has a cost of 5, 6000 power, and a 1000 counter. He's got an activate main effect where you trash him, and then if you have 2 or less life cards, you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, and then draw a card. The life draw trigger lets you KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Both these cards get an opponent's character out of the way and give you another card in your hand if you meet the conditions. Just with Luffy, you're discarding him, and with Nami, you're trashing a trigger card from your hand. And that's all for our deck. This one's fun because you're using both your and your opponent's life cards to get your card's effects, and you can know what's coming to determine if you want to block or counter a swing or just take a hit to your life so you can have that card in your hand or play its trigger. Hans likes it because he gets to stare at Katakuri. He also likes ripping open that included pack, so let's get to it. We put out videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with shorts on Sunday. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, we are going to be going over the last of our starter decks for now on Monday when we talk about ST21, the new Red Gear 5 Monkey d.Luffy deck. We'll also be putting out another One Piece video next Friday. Aside from the One Piece TCG, we also have videos looking at Pokemon and Lord Kana. They aren't the only TCGs we've got our hands on though. We're shaking things up with our Sunday short this week and doing something a bit different. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your favorite potted plant. It's feeling a bit neglected. That's one Ace Dawn. That card girl out.